that you're a mother. I mean, we're in a system where work is demanding so much time of parents. How do you balance the two?
As for the balance, it's a tough one. But I wanted to say that she has two.
Yes.
I don't think that she didn't recognize that having the twins will be a handful, and that's why she has two. And I'm sure that the work is then divided among them. Somebody's taking care of the twins, and somebody's doing household chores.
Yeah.
And then they can switch over to do that. There is no excuse whatsoever for what the women did, the nannies did, you know, that they are overworked and everything. If you're overworked, just tell the woman, I'm overworked. Or take care of the children, leave the housework, and when she says it, tell her that this is what happened. And then if you can't, you leave the job. But you don't say that I'm overworked or the work is too much and drag the children. There's absolutely no excuse good enough for that, especially since you're a nurse and you know that this is what happens. I mean, unless you're using the word nurse generically and not as a properly state-registered nurse, you understand? You know, because sometimes what we forget is that we call ward assistants and those people nurses because they have worked in the hospital before. Because for my mind, I mean, a properly state-registered nurse will be a little hesitant about this, but you know, I mean, what shows that you can't even overdose the child? The child sleeps and never wakes up. You understand? But I mean, I think that women want to get ahead in their careers, and they have to put in the long hours to get ahead. Or the economic situation is such that there have to be two incomes in the home. So mothers are forced to work. I know of several mothers who took a pay cut so that they can stay at home longer with their children because of such issues, you know. But it's not everybody that has the luxury of taking maybe a pay cut, going for a lesser paying job so that they can spend more hours. They probably need the money, you understand? So it is, for want of a better, a necessary evil to have these domestic workers in your home helping you, you understand, and paying them. And it's not as if, yes, they are sometimes in certain situations they are poorly paid, but it is not in all situations. But the thing, who is well paid in this country? Because if you are paid a salary of even 10,000, okay, which let's say the average. This is a little above the average Ghanaian's 10,000.
Yes.
And you have to pay these people 1,000 each, you know, a month.
That's 2,000 minus 2,000 other costs.
Minus other costs, you understand? And they're probably eating for free in the house. They're doing all sorts of things for free in the house. And yet you have to pay them this. You expect something. You get it. If you can afford it, you put the cameras there. But if you can't afford it, can you say that, you know, what can I do? It's important to spend time with your children so that you notice patterns of behavior change, etc., etc. And that was a good thing that this mother noticed, that, you know, the patterns of behavior for these kids have changed.
But Madam Collins was even raising concerns about how long it took before the mother realized.
I mean, yes, but sometimes you are wondering, and yes, 8 months may seem a long time, but 8 months may not seem that long also, because for instance, maybe today they gave them a little bit, tomorrow they give them a lot more, and so the sleepy behavior is longer, and it's not consistent, and so you may come to meet it, you may not come to meet it, etc., etc. But then you may sometimes say, is it my imagination? These boys are a little slow and everything. So it takes a while. I mean, yes, some people may pick it up instantly, some a little longer. We thank God that she has picked it up in the time that she has picked it up. But come to think of it, you know, this is also an issue where we must encourage corporations and places to put in childcare. I know that in Noguchi, my director, one of her things that she wants to do, because researchers spend long hours, she wants to put up daycare for children, so that researchers are not so worried about their children, because their children are in the space in which they are. You can go and say, when I used to work in the hospital, my hospital was a baby-friendly hospital. And so we are encouraging mothers to breastfeed exclusively for the 6 months. The hospital set up a daycare center for mothers who worked in the hospital to be able to send their children there. And you could always, your break time, walk over to go and breastfeed your child. And of course, they had some of the ward assistants who were there, so you could monitor your child and feel comfortable. We should encourage companies to do that. I know that now some companies are having exercise programs and things like that, looking after the welfare of the bodies of their employees. This is something that troubles mothers. You want to get the best out of the woman in your company. It is good to have a daycare place so that mothers know my child is safe. I can monitor. I can go there. I can keep an eye on my child. Spend lunch breaks with my child and things like that. And so even if it's tax breaks that the government has to give, because it goes to the welfare of children and mothers and of the society, for companies who will incorporate in their space, these childcare centers, so that mothers can have the freedom to work hard, to be productive, and also, nurture their families.
I mean, some companies may say that they don't have the luxury of setting up daycare or crèches in their offices to take care of some of these issues. But I don't know how you're looking at policymakers as well, whether there could be some sort of incentives to get companies who are willing to do that to establish those in their facilities.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. That's what I'm saying. If it gives you a tax break or whatever, we can think it through. And if the company is determined to look after the welfare of its employees, especially the woman, I think they would find the space. That when there's a will, there's a way. You understand? Or we'll fashion some policy out such that the women can spend more time with their families and still get ahead in their career. Because you find out that as a woman, our socialization is such that if the two of you have jobs and somebody has to take the child to the hospital, sometimes it falls on the mother, because I can't do anything. So it's the mother, who will end up doing some of these things. Yes, some men are doing some fantastic job in terms of taking those things away, but invariably, and especially when it comes to mothers of the lower social tiers, they take ultimate responsibility because the man has left already. He thinks that you are sitting in the market and everything. So hey, you are the one supposed to go and do, or your job is lesser paying. So you do that sacrifice of taking the child to the hospital, doing this, doing that. So it's our biological function and our socialization has made it very, very difficult for women who want a career progression. And so domestic workers are actually required. You understand? They are needed. I was just looking. They are recognized in the Ghana Labour Act. They are recognized. But of course, it's poorly regulated, and so they are also left to drift. But I always say that no matter how poor your salary is, your pay is, you don't resort to wickedness to say that because I'm poorly paid, I will be mean and I'll be wicked. It goes to show your character, because there are people who are poorly paid and whatever, and yet they would give their best, and because they are good people who do the good things.
Yeah, I mean, Madam Fowler,